motocross leg, and Dave Watson there you saw in trouble. A bad start for number 2, Dave Watson. Has already had one victory to his credit, but not a good getaway. And real chaos of lots of bodies and bikes. The top there, let's try and spot 1 or 2 people. There's number 11, that's Stuart Bratt in that heap. 5 riders. None of the superstars except Jason Rawlings, number 35, is there. And 36, Trevor Avery. And there's Mark Banks in 2nd place. And he eases through on the inside of David Denley. So Mark Banks, who's made diabolical starts in his 2 races so far this afternoon, has a flyer in this 2nd race. So it's Banks the leader from Denley in 2nd spot. There's David Watson going through after that bad start.
So already we have both the Honda Great Britain riders in the first 3, with David Denley on the Italian Cajivas between them in a sandwich.
Banks in front, Denley 2nd, Dave Watson 3rd, 6th, 32 and 2. 2 Hondas, a Cajiva there in the middle. And a reminder of the points as they stand, and that is that Banks and Watson sharing the top of the total 27. So whoever finishes in front of the other will be the overall expert champion for this Diamond Jubilee meeting. And the charge down the hill, and Watson looking to go through to 2nd place. And Dave Watson just trying his hand on the inside, couldn't quite do it, but he won't be too disappointed about that. A long way to go, and Dave Watson will know. And David Denley is having a go back. David Denley not being overawed, and he's got the best line because they come tight, and Banks storms through back into the lead. Denley stops in behind on the same side of the track looking for the easy line. Denley goes wide, Banks goes tight. Denley very quick, he's got a smooth line on the outside, not so many bumps, but has to ease off. It's interesting to see these men picking different lines on different corners, trying to ease the way over the bumps, trying to go for what they think to be the fastest overall racing line. And the order at the moment, Banks, Denley and David Watson.
And David Watson in the lead, and the man chasing in 2nd, David Denley, both former national schoolboy champions, so it's easy to see from where the British champions of the future are coming.
And 4th place at the moment is Robert Meek. Well, he's over from Nottinghamshire way, Gunthorpe. This is his best ride of the day. A good start. The start absolutely important here at Halstead. Good circuit, one of the best in Britain, but certainly a start very important. Those first 2 or 3 hairpin bends, making life so difficult if you're tucked in behind the group, behind the pack. Honda, Cajiva and the Honda with Banks completing a lap, and Denley goes wide. You saw the dirt and the pebbles loud up from that rear tyre. It's the end of the 2nd lap, and that's 31, and a faller there, and that's Gary Moore, who looks somewhat the worse for wear. A nasty tumble at that particular spot.
There's Barry Johnson coming through, the man, a former amateur champion in the 125 class 2 years ago, and in the 250 class he was the British amateur champion in '84.
4th place at the moment for Barry Johnson, and he's just slotted ahead of David Denley. So whatever the problem was that David Denley had, David Denley, remember, in 2nd place, sandwiched between the 2 Honda men early on in this race, and Barry Johnson has regained 4th position from him. There is 28 Johnson, and how far behind is Denley now? In fact, he's not only lost a place, he's lost the bike. Well, those jumps there getting really spectacular, and it means that Alan Blood has now gone up a place, because I didn't see David Denley there at all. I think David Denley is in trouble. A chance to see that again in slow motion. Here he comes. This is Barry Johnson on the Kawasaki. Appears to have everything perfectly under control. Fairly quick, hits the bumps there. And it just goes far too high. His feet come off the footrest and he throws the bike away and says, "Get away from me, you nasty thing."
We've still got Mark Banks here dominating this race in the picture, but David Watson's still there.
Watson is getting closer, I suspect. We're coming up to the 90th minute mark, so we've got, I would think, 2 more laps of racing, because I don't think the 20 minutes will be up before Mark Banks and Dave Watson go through. This is that bumpy section where we saw Barry Johnson. There is Banks. There is Watson, and Watson is a lot closer. Now, whether David Watson was just having a breather or whether Mark Banks has just been caught napping a little bit, I don't really know, but I think we've got a race on our hands for the final section of this third and deciding experts race, and the crowd waving the local boy on, and we just saw a glimpse there of the wheels of David Watson. And Mark Banks is not going to have this dead easy any minute now. There is David Watson, and you can see him shortening that gap. Is reeling in his rival, and in fact they're just coming to 20 minutes and there'll be 1 lap to go. There's the sign to go, 1 lap to go, and really we're in for a storming last lap. There's the gap between the leader Banks and David Watson. Can Banks hang on? Whoever wins in this pair will be overall victor. And you saw the mechanic for Dave Watson wave his man on, and Banks
Now, I wonder if Watson has really left it too late. He may just have been seeing how that injured shoulder of his stood up to it before he really tried.
And Watson, he's putting on the pressure, he's fighting hard, and Mark Banks now knows that he's got to do something. Oh, and look at Watson just reeling him in. What a fine performance from David Watson. And they're catching tail enders, and this really is going to be a heart-stopping moment. And he's almost there. And they're going to cut past David Denley, who they were dicing with early on, and David Denley moves out of the way, and Watson leaps over the air and slots in, and Watson is real alongside almost Mark Banks. Banks just 2 or 3 machines length. This is the rough bit. We've seen disasters here for solos and sidecars. Over the jumps they go, and Watson is ever so close. David Watson, I'm sure, knows exactly what he's doing. And what a race we're in for on this final circuit, and it's just 2 or 3 machines length or less than that at times. And David Watson looking cool, calm and relaxed, and he's going for the inside line, and David Watson is going to make a last lap challenge, and Banks has got to do an awful lot if he's going to stay in front. And David Watson, I'm sure, will have got a place lined up. They're just coming to the final sprint, and Banks may do it, I think. Just a few yards to go. Banks is going to hang on, but it's going to be close, and he does, and he waves a fist into the air. Mark Banks, the winner of the third and deciding motocross experts race. Dave Watson right behind him, and the opposition absolutely nowhere. And you can see how close this finish is. Mark Banks, the 18-year-old, ahead of his 25-year-old teammate. Mark Banks in front. David Watson closes the gap there, just a few hundred yards to go, and Banks just pulls away, and look at him wave that hand just in the air for a fraction, and he pulls it back quickly to the handlebars. But a great ride from Banks and a wonderful performance from Dave Watson. And third over the line, a long way behind, Robert Meek.